Round 5 of the F1 2019 season is the Canadian Grand Prix, and as we had last year, the transfer window has now opened. Teams and drivers are going to be able to have their choices on who they want to take them through the rest of the season. The transfer window has now officially opened. There has been one change, however, from this year's mid-season transfer window compared to last season's mid-season transfer window. This season, unlike last season, if a driver decides to leave a team and is signed on by a new team, they obviously will take their points with them. However, what happened last year is the old constructor lost those points that the driver had, and it was added to the other constructor, and it worked like that. However, the teams and also some of the fans were not happy with this change, so they've changed it for this year. If a driver decides to sign for a brand new team, let's go with an example of Sebastian Vettel, who is on 41 points. If he decides to leave Audi and join someone like Jaguar, he would take obviously his driver's points with him and he'd still be on 41 points. However, unlike last season, this season, if he decided to leave, Audi as a constructor would still have 41 points. They wouldn't lose it as they would have last year in those rules. So it means that the teams are able to be a bit more bolder in their driver lineup choices for the rest of the season. And it means that when they go to try and sign drivers, they don't have to take a risk of losing constructors points and trying to take on someone just to gain some constructors points. They can now take on a driver that they truly want to lead them further in the sport. Stoffel Vandoorne is the first person to come up in the transfer centre. He is having his seat under serious doubt at the moment, with his performances just not exceeding McLaren's expectations and Lando Norris doing the better job in the team. Vandoorne's seat looks to have pretty much been gone now, and he is set to be replaced with Nick De Vries, who is currently racing in F2, and McLaren are set to sign him up. Also, the man under pressure is Pierre Gasly. He needs to perform in Jaguar and he needs to be doing better. At the moment, Jaguar are eyeing up Charles Leclerc on their radar, with Charles Leclerc not getting the breakthrough drive that he deserves. Jaguar seeming to get themselves into the points. Brendan Hartley is doing a great job with the Jaguar at the moment. However, Pierre Gasly, he's not doing that well, and it looks like if he can't get his act together, Charles Leclerc may just take his seat if Jaguar decide to go for a bid for the BMW Sauber driver. Heading on then into the main breaking news as we head for this Canadian Grand Prix. First of all, the court case that Red Bull was set to attend has now officially been called off. Red Bull have now finally agreed to pay all of those from members from Toro Rosso who lost their jobs during the redundancy scandal. In other words, basically Red Bull decided to cancel their driver program and were going to drop Toro Rosso, which they had done. They didn't tell anyone in Toro Rosso and kept it as quiet as possible, meaning that many people didn't actually know that they were not going to have a job for the next season. Red Bull caused a fuss about it. Many people from within the Toro Rosso team were going to try and sue Red Bull to try and get some money back and just, sort themselves out financially in life. Red Bull, however, have decided to go ahead and to try and avoid all these cases that keep popping up in Formula 1. They don't want to add another one to the list, and they have decided to go ahead and pay a sizable fee to all those that have lost their jobs. Those that have already got a job in other teams, which a lot of them got for Jaguar, will still be paid by Red Bull, but by a smaller amount, as they have got themselves a job and are financially secure. Lewis Hamilton and Tom Fox are finally free of all of this court case drama that's been going on since the start of last season. It's five men and 2 women that took on the act of scandaling loads of drug samples have finally been sentenced. We don't actually have a full confirmation on the sentencing. We believe it's around about between 2 and 10 years in terms of the severity, with those that had armed weapons at the case having the stronger sentences, with those just being there at the time having the smaller sentences. Hamilton and Tom say this is a dream come true for them. They can finally get on with what they love best, that is racing, and they can do that in their fine styles. And finally, that is the end of all the court case drama for the time being, unless something else pops up. Something else that's quite interesting, and Tom putting himself back in the firing line for no fault of his own, is come from Sebastian Vettel. Sebastian Vettel has now gone ahead and officially warned Tom that Ferrari forced Vettel out of the team, and they will do the same thing to him. Sebastian Vettel left Ferrari at the end of last season after having a major falling out, it was stated, with the team. Vettel has now stated that this major falling out will lead to Tom suffering the same fate. And this has not helped at Mercedes-Benz, as they are now officially concerned by Daniel Ricciardo's recent behaviours at Mercedes. They say that he's just not acting the way that we normally have seen Daniel Ricciardo. Of course, we know Ricciardo for his elegant smile, and they don't seem to be getting that, and they're getting more concerned and more suspicious about what is Daniel Ricciardo up to. And Ferrari seem to be getting in the mix as well, with a reported leak seeing a picture of Daniel Ricciardo with a Ferrari hat on. We don't know if this Ferrari hat is genuine, we don't know if it's a fake leak or anything like that. We've just seen a picture with Ricciardo with a Ferrari hat on, but it's very easy to Photoshop stuff, so we don't even know if that's true yet. So it's really concerning times for Vettel, Tom, Ricciardo, Mercedes and Ferrari for that matter. Moving on then into the news heading into the Canadian Grand Prix, and it's clearly shown from practice that Ferrari still remain the fastest. They have been the fastest for pretty much the majority of the entire year so far, and they continue to keep that run of form up. They were the quickest in qualifying simulation runs and also had the fastest race pace, mostly that coming from Tom. However, Verstappen's pace was also significantly fast. Force India have brought some upgrades to the Canadian Grand Prix, which seem to be doing good for their car. Force India struggled to the start of this year and they've really just not got themselves going, but recently have been scoring a few points. Now here in Canada, they look to start their upgrade package season and really kick on with this race. Williams are another team that have been doing very well in the last few races again, picking up points more importantly with Sergio Perez. However, this weekend, it's not turning out to be their weekend. They are suffering badly with horrible tyre wear issues. In their qualifying simulation runs, they seemed alright. Heading into the race pace simulations though, their tyres were going off way more than any other drivers on all forms of compounds of tyres. It looks like you could probably get away with a one-stop, maybe a two-stop race around here. Williams may be able to get away with a two-stop, however, they may even have to delve into the 3, even 4-stop races if the tyre wear really gets that bad. So it's not looking like a good weekend for Williams so far, but without further ado, let's get into round 5 of the F1 journey. That's the Canadian Grand Prix. Yo, what's going on guys, it is FoxyDude98 here and welcome back to a brand new video for you guys today here on the channel. Today we are back with the F1 journey, round number 5 here for the Canadian Grand Prix. And as you can see, we started things off then in qualifying. And as you can see, as we come around the final corner here on the chicane, this is our first run. We didn't really do the chicane that well there, and we eventually came across the line and did a 1 minute 11.9, which, well, that wasn't actually our lap time. I think it was a 1:12.5 that we did. Hamilton was a 1:11.9 there on our first flying lap, and yeah, a lot of interesting developments going on. Finally, we don't have to worry about any more court cases. They're all out of the way, and also the transfer window is now open, so a lot of teams and obviously will be trying to sign new drivers, of course, with the new transfer window rules, obviously stating that teams will not lose their constructor points like they did last year, so teams will be able to sign whoever they want without that loss of any form of constructor points going their way. Through it into the final corner then, we absolutely nail the chicane there on our final lap, a second up on our Delta, and across the line there to take an emphatic pole position for the Canadian Grand Prix and continuing our strong run of form here in the Scuderia Ferrari team. And we're going to be extremely happy with that, and you can see a massive 8 tenths clear. Now I understand that I have dominated, e.g. I dominated in Austria and I'm dominated in qualifying here. To put this out there, the Austrian Grand Prix is a track that I love driving around, so I excel there. Canada is also a track that I always excel at, and the AIs are particularly slow here. So don't worry, there are tracks that will come up that I will not be fast at. So bear with us, okay? Bear with us. But anyway, the race is a completely different story. So having a look at the race strategy then, we're going to be going for the one stop, starting on a set of ultra soft tyres, moving to a set of the soft tyres, and we'll see how we go then. So on the grid now, we've got 5 red lights here for the Canadian Grand Prix. And it's lights out. Here we go here to start the Canadian Grand Prix. It's been a good start from us actually. Very clean getaway, and we managed to comfortably stay in front of Lewis Hamilton as we come in towards turn 1. Sort of take a second jab at the corner. I turned in way too early for turn 1, but we stay in front for the time being, which is all that we needed. And looking further back now, we've got Max Verstappen here who's attacking one of the Red Bulls now. So Verstappen having an awful start here, but he makes up for it as he goes down the inside there of one of the Red Bulls. It is Carlos Sainz that he managed to get himself back past now as we continue on our way here. It's myself leading from Lewis Hamilton ahead of Fernando Alonso, and then Max Verstappen down in the background. I think Verstappen was in P3 on the grid, So he's gone all the way down there into P4 after he got overtaken down to P5, but he managed to get himself up ahead of Carlos Sainz, and we've got a nice clean track in front of us, and the end of the second sector split. It's a 1 second lead that we already have over the front runners, and at this stage in the race I want to be pushing very, very hard. I want to try and build myself a very early gap. I want to be able to keep my strategies open. If I want to go for the conservative one stop and just relax in the race, I could do that. If I want to go nice and fast and aggressive and go for the two stop, then I could do that as well as we go into the final chicane then for the first time here in this Grand Prix. And you can already see that we have built a very big advantage. It's a 1:17.9 fastest lap, and we just continue to do that here onto lap 3 of the Grand Prix now, and we're setting fastest laps after fastest laps with a 1:13.7 now here on this attempt, and you can see we're ahead of Verstappen by 4.5 seconds. And speaking of Verstappen, he's moved himself up into second place, so let's go find out what exactly he did to get himself up now into second place. So first of all, attacking Fernando Alonso. He goes the outside line here in towards turn 1, sticks it around the outside, claims the inside line for the apex of turn 2, and then as soon as he gets that apex line there, he's just got a better run, better drive than Fernando Alonso, stays in front of him for the time being, but keep it on board with Verstappen now for the entire lap. This is how quick Verstappen is in this stage of the race, and once again, just like the story of the season really, Verstappen struggling at the very start of the Grand Prix, and then sort of has to work his way into the race a little bit. And as you can see, just look at the straight line speed difference here between Verstappen and Hamilton. Already getting right up onto the back of Hamilton. As they come in towards the chicane now here, Verstappen still under the back of Lewis Hamilton. He might actually just have a go for it here, in towards this hairpin. He's actually tempting it here towards the outside line, in towards the hairpin. Hamilton will go defensive to the inside line. Verstappen will go around the outsides here, and Max Verstappen just about holds on and stays in front of Lewis Hamilton and gives him a very tight squeeze there on the exit. And we'll see if Verstappen can try and get away from Hamilton, but in this straight, he has got DRS, and you can already see me there blasting through the chicane. And Hamilton does not have DRS, so he cannot stay with him. On to lap 8 of the Grand Prix now. We're still just going and setting even faster lap times, really just building a massive lead. On to lap 9 of the Grand Prix. We're coming through this turn 4 area, and for some reason, I just completely lacked concentration in this section here. I went wide, and I didn't go wide. I went through that corner, and I basically just straightened up the car far too early, and I just let the car drift off. And as soon as the car was drifting off towards the wall, I then was late at reacting to that specific section of the car going towards the wall. And I've actually now got a red front wing end plate here, and I'm going to have to come into a pit stop and change it. Now, this is in prime 2-stop strategy window, so technically I was going to go for the one-stop strategy. I mean, if you look at the gap, it is absolutely massive. I think it's about 10 plus seconds. It's 9.8 seconds. We're only on lap 9, and we've got a very big gap. So we're going to come in for our first stop at the Grand Prix. And unfortunately, it's going to be a long stop because we're going to have to now change this front wing, which is not what I wanted. But anyway, we're coming into the pits now. You can see the damage there. And for some reason, I have a random mud smoke screen on my car. That just seems to be a weird glitch that I always have. Whenever you sort of just have your car and there's a mechanic there, just gets bored and walks off. But yeah, whenever you go offline or just clip the grass slightly, you then just get a mud screen on the back of your car, and it's very weird there. So sorry, mechanics, you're just going to get a mud screen as we continue on our way. And we're now leaving the pits there, as I believe someone else there jumping into the pits behind us. But as you can see there, we've got one of the McLarens there of Stoffel Vandoorne. But we are able to cut all of turn 1 and rejoin out in turn 2 here. Now we're going to go side by side with Stoffel Vandoorne here. And as you can see now, very close on the exits. We go in towards 3 and 4 now. Clip the inside line apex there and shove Stoffel Vandoorne out there and close the door on him. And now we've got to close the gap to Fernando Alonso, which is 5.8 seconds or 5.6. And on to lap 13 of the Grand Prix, that gap is now down, and we are right on the back of Fernando Alonso here as we go through the chicane now, heading up towards the hairpin here versus Alonso. As you can see, we're swooping left and right, trying to find a way through, having a look at the inside and towards this hairpin, but I decided to just play best of it. I'm quicker than Fernando Alonso. The Ferrari's got incredible straight line speed. I'm just going to wait until the straight and get the move done on Fernando Alonso. So as you can see now, opening up the DRS, switching over to the inside line. Alonso very aggressively there, moves over to try and cover us off, but we just breeze past Fernando Alonso and blast it through the chicane now. And we are back into second place in this race, and when Verstappen pits, we'll be in the lead. And we've got to build that gap now to make sure that we can make a second pit stop and stay in front of Verstappen, because these tyres are not going to go that far. On to lap 16 of the Grand Prix now. we are about to try and do just that as we come in towards the chicane here. Clip the curb in, but we've clipped the curb too much there. We've lost the rear of the car, and we've gone straight into the barriers in the final chicane there. A horrible mistake there for us. And as we can see, having a look at a replay of that now, we just went way too wide on the apex of the corner there. We just clipped too much. We did it in qualifying and it worked, but this time around, that almost looks like I cut the corner there for some reason. It looked like I completely cut it there, but yeah, we've gone straight into the curb, and as you'll see now, that was that. We're out of the Grand Prix, so Verstappen goes ahead and wins the Grand Prix. It had a Hamilton, Alonso, Ricciardo, Sainz, Vettel, Verline, Ocon, and Rosberg. And yeah, a shocking end to the Grand Prix. We've made a mistake, and that's us out of the Grand Prix. There's nothing else to say about that, but that's it. Race over. Taking a look then at the Drivers' Championship after that round of the Canadian Grand Prix. Annoyingly, it's now Max Verstappen that leads the way in the World Drivers' Championship on 88 points. He's now 5 points clear of myself on 83 points. Of course, obviously, I crashed out in that last race, which was really annoying. I just took a little bit too much curb. You can take those curbs a lot more aggressively than that, but obviously I risked doing that, and the car then just got launched and went into the barriers with no control, which is a big old shame. Lewis Hamilton remains on 64 points, or doesn't remain, but is on 64 points now for Mercedes-Benz ahead of his teammate Ricciardo on 59 points. Sebastian Vettel is on 49 points and still there in the hunt against the Mercedes boys on 49 points. Alonso and Sainz for Red Bull are now on 37 and 32 points respectively, and after their slow start to the season, they have now both jumped Lando Norris in the McLaren, who is on 29 points after failing to score today. Brendan Hartley remains on 20 points. He also failed to score today, as well as Stoffel Van Dorn. He didn't score either, still on 14 points. Pascal Wehrlein got a good 7 points, and he's on 13 points now. And he's sort of brought himself into the mix with Stoffel Van Dorn and also Brendan Hartley. Sergio Perez has got 7 points. He didn't score anything today. Esteban Ocon is on 5 points after scoring his best result of the season so far. Nico Rosberg also picking up a couple of points for Audi. And then Charles Leclerc has managed to get BMW Sauber's first ever points in Formula 1, which is great for them since their return to the sport. And Hulkenberg, Kubica, Bottas, Gasly and Giovinazzi have yet to score. Moving on then to the Constructors' Championship, and Ferrari have a 171 point lead at the top of the championship. And once again, my commentary is wrong, as they've got 171 points, and they are in front of Mercedes, who are on 123 points. Red Bull are on 69 points, and have now pulled themselves away from Audi and McLaren. Audi are on 53 points, and McLaren are on 43 points now in the championship. And Red Bull starting to try and solidify themselves as the third best team. Jaguar are on 20 points in the championship, ahead of Force India on 18 points. Williams Porsche have 7 points, and BMW Sauber are off the bottom of the championship table for the first time since their return to F1 at the start of last season, as they finally pick up a point, and it's now down to Renault to try and work out the problems with their car and get at least a point. But that is going to be it for the F1 journey. But that is not everything, because we have some incoming breaking news, so let's get into it. So some massive incoming breaking news has just come in after the Canadian Grand Prix, and that is that Tom Fox has been sacked by Ferrari. This is a massive shock, and we did not expect this one to come at all, but it has come in a complete shock to the entire motorsport paddock here. Tom has now lost his drive for Ferrari. We don't actually know why. Ferrari have just stated that he's been inconsistent, he doesn't do what is told in the management sections and whatnot, really. It's just all a bit strange at the moment. Of course, we saw at the start of this episode that Ricciardo was sort of hinting at a way towards Ferrari, and, you know, Vettel was warning Tom that they would force him out. Maybe Sebastian was right. This story is only going to develop even further on past this race and into many races to come. So now is the biggest question of who's going to replace Tom at Ferrari for the next race, and where's Tom going to go? This is all complete shock, and we're going to have to find out next time what happens and how this story is just going to keep on getting bigger, and Ferrari have really put themselves in the spotlight in this race weekend, and we'll find out next week more to this story. For now though, that's all we have. Take care and goodbye.